Hey everyone, me Kevin here. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a step-by-step process on how to buy your first rental property in a noob-vs-pro style. I'll share some really awesome industry secrets with you that nobody tells you about because most people don't know about them. And the reason I know about them is because I'm a whole lot of things. Not only am I a real estate investor controlling over $12 million worth of real estate without any partners, single family and multifamily, but on top of that, I'm a licensed real estate broker. I used to be a licensed lender and I used to be a licensed contractor working in all of these different fields. So I have a ton of secrets that will help you make money. And we're gonna make it very simple. I'm gonna tell you this is what the noobs do and this is what the pros do. So if you like this kind of outline, let me know. If you want some more noob versus pro in the comments, consider sharing this with your friends or anybody that you know that could benefit from this information because these secrets are guaranteed to make you money. All right, let's get into it. But first, quick note from our sponsors on the video. If you want 2 completely free stocks, sign up for Webull in the link down below and you deposit just $100 and they will give you 2 free stocks worth up to $1,400 for signing up. Also get life insurance in as little as 5 minutes via the link down below. You could Apple Pay for it or you could Android Pay for it. It's so easy to get. It's not like they're brokering you out. It's that company and it's awesome. Let's get into the real estate now. First, the very first thing that you want to think about when you're starting to plan or even considering buying a house or any kind of real estate is credit. Credit is a tool that you should use. Don't let your credit use you. And here's what I mean by that. You can usually buy a house with a credit score as low as 620 to 640, though usually you're gonna pay more than somebody with a 740 credit score. But it's a myth to think, and a lot of noobs have this impression, that you can't buy a house unless you have excellent credit. And this is very wrong. Yes, a 740 credit score is usually going to give you the best pricing. In fact, I have a lot of clients that ask me, they say, Kevin, I have an 850 credit score. I worked hard my entire life not using my credit so I could get the best pricing possible. What benefits do I get when I have an 850 credit score? Because I do. And my answer is always nothing. Like, they got screwed. That's the noob move. The noob move is, I'm gonna get an 850 credit score. It's a vanity number. It does nothing. Once you pass 740, in some minor cases 760, you really get no additional benefits in real estate. And this is very important for 2 reasons. Number 1, you wanna get in and be able to find a great deal. Because even if you have to pay a little bit more because your credit score isn't above 740, finding a great deal can make it worth it. Pros know this. Pros always look at real estate from the point of view of the entire deal. Pros don't get caught on things like, oh, well, I don't want mortgage insurance, so I'm not gonna buy. Pros don't get caught up on, oh, well, my credit score isn't 740, it's 730, I'm just not gonna buy. No, pros don't get caught up on that. They look at the entire package, and that's what I'm gonna teach you in this video. We're gonna learn a lot about packages. And number 2, know that you don't have to be perfect. So if you're anxious about, well, I don't wanna apply for a loan because I don't want my credit score to get dropped or whatever, big mistake. Remember, pros know that your credit score is designed to help you make money. Use it. By the way, the most common reason I see low credit scores on credit reports, which I see a lot of, is late payments. That is like the easiest thing you could do to not have a lower credit score is just make your payments on time. The easiest trick for doing this is literally make a little spreadsheet that you check every single month. You don't need a fancy app, you don't need anything. Take a spreadsheet and put every single bill that you have that's associated with your social security number, make sure you check it twice a month. As long as you check it twice a month, there's no way you could be 30 days late. Even if you missed one of your checks, you're still checking at least once a month. And that helps you ever avoid missing a payment. Got a credit card? Put it on the list. If they asked you for your social, put it on the list. The social is the danger because that's how you get exposed to a lower credit score if you miss a payment. Also, if you have not yet, go to annualcreditreport.com. This is not sponsored by them, at least. It's sponsored by Life Insurance and Webull, but not these companies. You can get a free credit report from all 3 bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And I recommend making sure that you get all 3 reports right away. Don't tell them, oh, I want one now and the other one later. Get all reports right now. and make sure all of the information on those reports is accurate. If there's something on there that you don't recognize, call the bureau, call the company whose name is on that report, and solve the problem. Pros know that real estate is dependent on your credit score. And you could even use Credit Karma to track your credit score after you've made sure that everything is solid. But Credit Karma, I think, only reports with 2 bureaus. And when you get a real estate loan, they're gonna check all 3. So start with annualcreditreport.com. And they usually pick the middle score, by the way. So if you have a 720, a 740, and 760, you qualify with the 740. Step number 2, assets. The easiest way to buy your first rental property is to start by living in the property for a year. This is why I think it's maddening when noobs like to say, well, I'm gonna start a family before I buy a house. Oh, moving alone is hard enough. You wanna move with kids? I got 2 kids, you don't wanna move with kids. Now, no worries if you've already got kids, hey, you could still start this way, but it's harder. The easiest way to get started in real estate is to buy a place to live in it and agree to live there for a year. Even if you want to rent out all the rooms to roommates and you're going to sleep in the living room because you're doing whatever you can to make sure you get into real estate and other people are making the payment for you, that's fine. Like, you got to do what you got to do to get started in real estate. The cool thing is, in the United States, you can put down as little as 3 to 5%. And in some cases, you could put no money down. You might be able to get grants from your state, or if you're a veteran, you could use a VA loan and put 0 money down. Now, for a lot of people, 3 to 5% is going to be the starting point. And so if you're looking at a $300,000 house, that's going to be somewhere between $9,000 to $15,000. And if you put less than 20% down, you generally have to pay mortgage insurance. However, this is often worthwhile if you buy a really good deal. I'll show you all about that in the rest of this video. So if you're worried about, Kevin, am I not over leveraged if I'm putting 0% down? Or, isn't it risky to put 5% down? Or what about mortgage insurance? Don't worry about that. We're gonna talk about that in this video, and so you'll have an understanding by the end of the video. Keep in mind, noobs focus on the small dollar, like mortgage insurance. Pros focus on the big dollar. Pros focus on where the money is, not the instant gratification, short, $50 a month kind of thing. Pros are looking for the big money, and we're gonna break that down. Next though, let's talk about income. And here's some really cool tricks for you. Lenders will usually want to see that you have income to qualify for a loan. And this makes sense. You gotta have the ability to repay the loan. That's actually a legal phrase. Ability to repay is a must. I say this because there are some awesome tricks you can play as well to prove you have the ability to repay. Here's the general rule of thumb first though. You generally want 2 years of tax returns to qualify for a loan. If your income is going up, they're going to average your last 2 years' income, which means your income will be assumed that it's a little less than your last year. That's okay, because they're averaging the 2. If your income is declining, lenders do the opposite, and they take the lower year's income to qualify you. They do not average your last 2 years' tax returns. They assume, declining revenue, problem. Let's use the worst case scenario. So keep that in mind. Now, this is obviously easier for people who are employed by a company. Also, really big hack here. If you just graduated from college and you get a job in the same line as what you went to college for, you could be deemed to have 2 years of tax returns day one. Yeah, think about that. You just graduated in computer science from, UC Santa Barbara, okay? You just graduated, day one. You get a job, and they're paying you $60,000 a year, let's say, your first year computer programming in SoCal. Awesome. You go to a lender, you could literally get qualified day one, even though you don't have 2 years of tax returns. That's because they're gonna look at your 2 years in school as work experience at the same pay. Come on, that's nuts. In fact, this is one of the best perks about going to college. If you're self-employed, you might have to learn about the double-edged sword of self-employment, but I have a trick for that as well. I got a trick for everything. This is what I do for a living. Self-employed borrowers. Let's say you make $70,000 a year, but then you're like, haha, IRS, I'm not going to pay you as much money in taxes. I'm going to write off $45,000. Great. Well, now when the lender looks at your tax returns, they go, dude, you made 70, man, but you wrote off 45, bro. I cannot qualify you on $25,000 of income. This is where noobs think they're screwed and they have to pay more taxes to qualify for a loan. Wrong. Pros know how to solve this. Here's the secret. if you're thinking about buying a house and you're self-employed, depreciate your write-offs. Lenders then won't count the money against you. So here's an example. Let's say I buy this MacBook Pro. There's a MacBook Pro right here. You can't really see it. You see the little edge there. Okay, MacBook Pro. I pay $2,000, or you know what? Let's say I pay $3,000 for this MacBook Pro because I need it for work or whatever, right? What I'm going to do is rather than write this all off this year, I'm going to write this computer off over the next 3 years. Talk to your CPA about this. Obviously, I'm not your CPA, so I can't give you tax advice, but you can write this laptop off over 3 years. $1,000 this year, $1,000 next year, and $1,000 the year after that. That way, you literally get the same tax write-off. But lenders look and go, oh, you depreciated a laptop? No problem. We don't consider that an expense. So if instead of making $70,000 and writing off $45,000, you made $70K and you depreciated $45K over 3 years, lender looks and goes, $70K, $45K depreciation. Oh, looks like you made $70K. All right, what do you want to buy? Boom. By the way, I'm gonna share a lot of tricks like this with you in this video. So if you like this video so far, could I bug you to share it with somebody? It might help. I really appreciate you considering sharing it. It really helps out a lot, and it motivates me to keep bringing you as many tricks as possible. But what do you do now if you don't have an income? I got a trick for that as well. And I ain't talking hard money crap either that's gonna make you go bankrupt. Watch this. And this doesn't work for everybody, but I'm gonna mention it. If you don't have an income, that could be okay. Let's say you just became a real estate agent and you know you're going to make money, or you just started making money, but you don't yet have enough money to qualify. Like you don't have the 2 years of self-employed tax returns. Sometimes they'll use 1 year tax returns and then your year-to-date profit and loss. But you know, that gets complicated. And if you just started, it's hard to buy, especially if you see a good deal. What do you do then? Well, you could ask, and if you have someone, consider yourself lucky. This is good. A lot of people have this. A lot of people don't have this. But I'm gonna mention it anyway. You could ask a parent or family member to co-sign on a FHA loan. This is, and they would go on as what's known as a non-occupant co-borrower. That means they could literally sign on a homeowner-occupied loan with you, and they do not have to live there. So let's say you and your girlfriend want to move into a house, and you and your girlfriend are splitting the down payment, and your dad's going to co-sign for you. Your dad could literally go on as a 1% owner on the deal. You found the deal, you came up with the money for the deal, you're making the payments on the deal. All you're doing is telling the lender, hey, let's use his income just to get me the loan. Now you buy the property with 3.5% down. Your dad's a 1% owner. You're maybe a 49% owner. Your girlfriend's a 50% owner. Boom. You just got into a deal with 3.5% down with 0 income. Come on, crazy world we're in, right? Now, I know to some, this is like, Kevin, like, isn't that like really risky? Like 3.5% down, seriously, and you don't have an income? Well, obviously you would only want to do this if you actually expect your income to be rising. Like some people are rock star salespeople, but they just can't prove it to the lenders. And that's the issue. So you obviously have to be comfortable with the payment that you're making. Of course, if you're making $5,000 a month combined with your girlfriend, you shouldn't have a housing payment for $4,500 a month. You gotta be reasonable with your expectations as well. Maybe if you make $5,000 a month combined with your girlfriend or spouse or boyfriend or whatever it is, maybe you have a payment of $2,000 per month. That's kind of how I started. Anyway, step number 4, talk to a lender. The easiest thing to do is go on Yelp and look up loan officer in your area. Forget like Chase and Wells Fargo and all this stuff. Just type in loan officer in your area. Reach out to a few and find somebody who's a good fit for you. You could even try online lenders like Rocket Mortgage. Though usually when you're starting out, I really recommend a local lender. They're going to help you get a deal accepted when it comes to writing offers. Usually when real estate agents say, online lender, eh? Unless they've had a good experience with that online lender, sometimes it's hard to get real estate agents to suggest, hey seller, let's take this offer. They're using some random online lender, compared to, hey seller, you should take this offer. They're using a local professional who has great reviews online. I know them, I've done deals with them before. See, there's a lot more to just writing an offer and getting a pre-approval letter. But I'm giving you the short, skinny of it here. When you talk to a lender, please don't make the newbie mistake that so many people say to do, and it's just like, having been a lender, this is the stupidest thing to do, and so many people do this. Newbies say, I wanna get pre-approved for a loan. Oh, but please don't run my credit because I don't want my score to drop. Oh, no. All that does is the following two things. It sends a massive red flag to the lender that A, you're not serious. And there's enough serious business out there for the lenders. And so not running your credit is the perfect way to signal to a lender that you're not a serious buyer, which means you get thrown on the back burner. So it's no surprise that maybe the calls and texts you're sending aren't getting responded to. And maybe it's taking weeks to get a pre-approval letter, and that deal you wanted, it's gone. Pros know this. Pros also know that, yeah, so what? An inquiry is gonna drop your credit score a few points after a lender runs your credit. However, the benefit is once you run your credit, you lock in your score for 90 days. So it's like, boom, run your credit. Okay, you're good for 90 days. So what if it drops a little bit in the meantime? By the time the 90 days are up, your score will be up again. And pros know that if you apply for multiple lenders within the span of a few weeks, the credit bureaus know that you're just being a savvy consumer and that you're shopping for the best loan. They don't want to rip you off, so the inquiries aren't likely to impact you that terribly. I know people like to say, oh, but Kevin, it's a hard inquiry. I don't care. The most important thing when it comes to your credit is making on-time payments. That's the biggest thing that is going to set you up correctly. The only time it's bad is if for some reason they think like you're desperate and you're applying for like 10 different credit cards and you're having problems. That's when the inquiries really start hurting you. Anyway, what you're going to do is you're going to ask for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. If you're in a different country, then you're probably gonna have to get like a 10-year fixed rate mortgage and then an adjustable rate loan. That's okay too. I don't generally recommend you get the 15-year fixed rate mortgage when you're starting. Get the 15-year mortgage when you're ready to start retiring and you're on like the last 15 years of your wealth building phase. That's the perfect time to get the 15-year mortgage. For now, get the 30-year. You have the option of making more payments, but you're not forced to make more payments. Also, a lender is going to help you figure out how much your payments are going to be, which is really convenient. And so there are some really easy tricks that you can do here. The easiest thing that you could do, which I'm gonna pull up right now, is I just recommend, and I'm gonna teach you exactly how to use this in a simple way, I recommend you go to the Zillow Mortgage Calculator. And this is not sponsored, but here's exactly what you're going to do. You're gonna go ahead and pull up the calculator, which looks a lot like this once you download the app. It's not my app, I'm not sponsored, don't worry about it. You put in a price. So let's put in $300,000. Now let's do 10% down. That's fine, great. Zillow automatically put in this interest rate of about 3.2%. But what I'm going to do is for every 5% that I put less down under 20%, I'm gonna add a 1/4 point to my rate. Okay, so let me work that out. It's really easy. We're 10% below 20% by putting 10% down. That means we're going to add a 0.5% to my interest rate, and we're gonna call that mortgage insurance. So I'm gonna go, instead of 3.2, let's put 3.7 in as the interest rate. That's a rough approximation for mortgage insurance. It's not perfect, but it's a good way to estimate it. Then, for property taxes, most states and cities pay anywhere between 1.2 to 2.4% in taxes. California is about 1.2%, Texas is about 2.4% for taxes. Now, here's a really cool pro trick. In this, you are paying $300,000 for a house and you're putting 10% down. Here's what's so cool about 1.2%. For every 1.2% you pay in property taxes, your monthly payment is exactly what your purchase price is minus the last 3 digits. So look at this. We're buying a house for 300 grand and it says the monthly property tax amount is $300 per month. If I now change this to Texas and I double this to 2.4%, see, property taxes go to $600. This trick, by the way, works in all price ranges. So look, I went back to a 1.2% tax rate and now I changed the price to $400,000 and look at that. Monthly property taxes are $400 a month. Great way to estimate this. If we're in Texas and tax rates are double it, it's $800. So purchase price minus 3 digits works in a lot of areas. Just find out what the tax rate is in your area. Obviously, if your tax rate is something in between and it's not like right by 1.2 or 2.4, it's gonna be a little bit more involved. Then, What we're going to do is we're gonna go back here and throw in $300,000 again, but let's go ahead and hop down and change the interest rate. Well, we'll leave the interest rate with mortgage insurance to 3.75. Homeowners insurance, $50 a month, that's reasonable. And if you have HOA dues, you could kick that in as well. I personally don't like having Zillow add in the mortgage insurance. I like to do it manually. It gives me a little bit more control, although you could try to play with that as well. Step number 5, find an agent. The easiest way to find an agent is literally go to Zillow.com, go to, look at that, Agent Finder. Type in your zip code and watch what you're gonna do. I'm gonna put in 93003 here. Let's pick here. Look at this lady, Heidi Golf, 21 local reviews, 6 recent sales. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and click on her profile and take a peek at this. I get a map of exactly where she sells real estate. And now what I could do is I could zoom in and let's say I wanna buy real estate over here. I wanna buy real estate between Johnson and Bristol. Holy smokas, Heidi Golf sells like everything in this neighborhood. I may as well call Heidi because that's where she's selling real estate. Am I gonna call Heidi to help me buy real estate in Los Angeles and in a condo complex? Probably not, because this is like an hour and a half away, and this is where Heidi is selling real estate. That's just an example. I'm sure she's more than willing to help you in many different areas, but that's what I like to look for when I look for an agent, is an agent who's selling real estate in the area that I'm looking to buy. Now, the best way to actually start looking for a house is look within 30 minutes of wherever you live and find those favorite neighborhoods. Then look for something small on purpose. Look for like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house to start with. This makes it very easy for you after a year to move into a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house and turn the first one into a rental. That's actually called bank hacking, because then you're able to put 5% down on the first place, and then you can move and put 5% down on the next place. The noob ends up buying a big house day one because they're like, well, I want my dream house if I'm gonna buy. And then they don't realize that if they buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, it's very difficult to convince a lender that you're going to now buy a smaller house to actually live in it. So a pro starts small, and we'll talk about good deals in a moment so you're not worried about the over leverage of putting 5% down. A pro starts small, gets good deals, and always looks for decent neighborhoods. A pro defines a decent neighborhood very simply. Here's the question you ask yourself. Would you feel comfortable doing a Craigslist transaction at 9 p.m. in the neighborhood? If the answer is yes, you're good. If not, don't buy there. When you narrow down where you're looking, it's easy to find agents in your area because of this Zillow trick, so keep that in mind. Also, it's a very good idea in today's market especially, which is very competitive, to reach out to an agent and say, hi agent, I'm so-and-so, I'm looking to buy in this price range. Here's my pre-approval letter from a local lender. Oh, by the way, here are my proof of funds, which is just like a screenshot of your bank statement or whatever showing you have the money for the down payment. And guess what this does? It instantly proves to the agent that you're a serious buyer, you're ready to go, and you're not a time waster. Very, very, very important. Even if you're brand new, you wanna make sure you get the bare minimums out of the way and you rise to the cream of the crop in terms of being a newer buyer. That's going to help you get the best deals. So have these before you begin looking for properties. Now here's the next newbie mistake. Many noobs start looking for the cheapest house available. In my opinion, this is a big mistake because you usually end up with something called a yeah but. A yeah but is exactly what you don't want, and pros know this. Pros always look for non-yeah but property. Yeah buts are things like, wow, this is a great house, honey, what do you think about it? Yeah, but it's under a freeway. See, yeah but. Or, yeah, but it's under high tension power lines and I'm gonna glow in the dark when I sleep. Or, oh cool, you have to walk through this bedroom to get to another bedroom? Or worse, it has unpermitted and illegal additions? You want to avoid those like the plague. Then, you don't fall victim to these silly things that noobs fall victim to. Noobs also tend to fall victim to classic homebuyer mistakes that start with looking for things that are pretty with staging and smell nice. These are classic tricks to deceive you into overpaying for things that you're not going to get. When you move in, the smell's gonna be gone and the furniture's going to be gone. Don't pay extra because things look nice and pretty. Be very careful. Even if you're buying new construction, the model home is gonna look so different from what you're buying. Be careful. Don't get tricked by the glitz and glam. It's worse than the car dealer lots. it's worse because the upgrades are a ripoff in real estate, especially if you look at properties that are known as turnkey properties or flips. These are usually problem properties in my experience. When you look at turnkey properties or flips, you tend to find properties that were renovated for the purpose of selling. And not always, but often, the work is done by low quality workers who'd use low quality materials and they don't do the correct work. And not always. There are some very high quality flippers out there that would rather lose money than sell a bad product. But it's very difficult to figure out, okay, where's the good one, where's the bad one? Sometimes you don't know if they skimped out on the code requirements behind the walls because you can't see what's behind the walls. And this is sadly very frequent, and it makes me very devastated when I see newbies get ripped off in this manner. And this is why I'm warning you. Instead, if you want to buy something because you don't want to do work, buy new construction. Because when you buy a flip, you buy a deal as is, which means if there are problems in the walls, it's your problem. If you buy new construction and there are problems in the walls, you generally get a 10-year builder warranty and you actually have a claim to protect yourself. That is how pros look at real estate. And pros also look at real estate for the sake of getting a deal. Let's not talk about getting a deal because that's what I've been alluding to here for a while. Pros look for single-family real estate and multifamily real estate, but there are different things to look at for each of these. Let's start with single-family. Single-family real estate. You want to look for some dated cosmetic elements. Things like old paint, carpet, it's stinky, or there's a lot of garbage, or there's popcorn ceiling, or there's ugly landscaping. This is the ideal property to buy, as long as ideally it has a new roof. Maybe the foundation's good and the electrical and plumbing systems are updated. You want to stay away from the expensive stuff. So I would rather have the expensive stuff done, like the windows and the roof and the foundation's good, but it's really stinky, than the other way around. Sometimes you end up walking into a flip and they didn't do the electrical and plumbing, but they did all the paint and carpet. It's like literally the worst place to buy. If you follow these rules, it's very common to be able to buy a house for $300,000 in a $400,000 neighborhood. This is known as getting a wedge deal. Because of the cosmetic defects, you're able to buy below market value. You pay more than the flippers because in order to beat a cash buyer, like the first house I ever bought in my life was me beating a cash buyer because I just paid a little bit more, you still get a great deal. In my case, I was up against two cash offers for $290,000 and $287,000. And I said, I want the deal. I'm paying $305,000. After I put $50,000 into the house was already worth $450,000. And within a year, it was worth $550,000. That's an example of getting a wedge deal. That's how I bought a foreclosure against cash buyers. And this is the kind of stuff that I do on a regular basis. Now, the cool thing about this is if you buy a house that's, say, $300,000 in a $400,000 neighborhood, and you put 5% down, that means your loan is only $285,000. I mean, think about it. 5% of $300,000 is $15,000. So your loan's $285,000. You fix it up, which is going to take some extra money or some sweat from you, putting in the effort, painting it or whatever. But wait a minute. If you're in a $400,000 neighborhood and you finish fixing it up and you only owe $285,000, you now have $115,000 in equity in the property, which means you can now refinance the property and instantly get rid of your mortgage insurance. This is why I say don't worry so much about mortgage insurance. It's better to do as the pros do and focus on getting a good deal. If you get a good deal, the options open up. If you get ripped off and you get a big, terrible deal, guess what the mortgage insurance is going to do for you? Nothing. It's not there to protect you. It's there to protect the lender. So don't get me wrong. I don't like mortgage insurance either, but I'm not going to pass on a good deal because I have to pay mortgage insurance. I'd rather make sure I have a great deal. Now, again, if you don't want to fix things up, then just buy new construction. Don't buy a flip, buy new construction, rent out the rooms, HouseHack, lower your costs. Now, if you want to buy multifamily real estate, you step into a different ballgame. Instead of looking for fixer-uppers, you want to buy properties with low rents. This means you have to compare what the property is currently renting for to what the market might bear. it usually is a good idea to talk to your real estate agent about this or a property manager to figure out, hey, I'm buying a duplex. They're both 2-bedroom, 1 baths at say 700 or 800 square feet. How much can I get for these in rent? Be careful. Do not overpay for multifamily real estate. And the best way to overpay for multifamily real estate is the rents are 800 and the market rent is 800, and then you get into a bidding war for the property. You're not winning here. Instead, look for a multifamily deal where the rents are $600 for a unit and the market rent is $800. Now you can go in and you have room to raise the price of the rent over time. You can take your time doing this, and that increases the value of the. And remember, the cool thing is you could always move and do it again. Step 7, write the offer and get inspections. When it comes to writing the offer, the secret to negotiating is information. You can't negotiate if you don't know what the other offers are and where the kids are playing ball. So you need to get the answers. There is no single deal that I have done in my career where I went into the deal blind. I always knew what I was up against. And you will always lose in multiple offer situations if you have less information. You gotta find out what the seller's desires are and their motivations are, how fast they wanna close, what certainty do they want, do they wanna deal with the termites or not? What can you do to negotiate your offer without always giving the best price? I win many deals because I offer better terms and I don't always pay the most. Just last week, I got an offer accepted $30,000 under what other people were paying on a fixer-upper simply because I cleaned up my terms and I gave the sellers more certainty. That's how I now put net worth in my bucket. That's what pros do. And you want to act like a pro. Be a pro out there, even if you're just getting started. And work with your agent on this. Once you're in, the pros know that you're going to use your home inspection to look at issues for big things like red flags with the foundation, the sewer line, and the roof. Those are your big expenses in the structure, right? Or illegal additions. That's where the big ticket items are. Electrical and supply plumbing is next, but those usually aren't as bad. And avoid illegal additions when you can. Your home inspection is stop 1. You don't want to send every contractor out and spend, $500 on 10 different inspections day 1. Start with the home inspection. That way you're not spending all this money on a property you're not ready to buy yet. Get your home inspection. If the home inspector says, hey, it looks like we've got some problems here with the drain lines, guess what you do? Yelp, plumber. Hi, plumber, I've got problems with a house that I'm buying in the sewer system. Is there any way you can inspect the sewer lines under the house for me? No problem. We can open up a toilet, we can take the toilet off, stick a camera down the line, and we can tell you what your drain health looks like. It's gonna cost $200. Are you okay with that? Sounds good, come on over. There you go. You deal with problems when the red flags come up in your inspections, and then get the actual bids before you close. You wanna know what you're getting into. It's so common for people to say things like, oh, you're gonna buy a house, you're gonna have to replace the roof. You didn't inspect the roof when you bought it, So that's like a newbie thing that people say about buying a house. So be careful. You don't want to fall victim to that. Instead, do as the pros do and get bids based on the red flags. Also, if you're getting bids for renovating a property, never, ever make this mistake. Do not get a bid for the entire job. It's so common to have a contractor come out and go, want me to just bid it all for you? Come on. I'll get everything done for you. I'll do the electrical, the plumbing, the kitchen, the bathroom, the roof, the foundation. I'll do everything. You know what? I'll rebuild the house for you. No, that is the wrong way to do it. That's exactly how you're going to spend $100,000 to $150,000 with a contractor when you shouldn't have spent more than $30,000. Just buy new construction if you're going to do that and you don't want to do the work. Seriously, it's okay to buy new construction if you don't want to do the work. But if you're going to do the work, do it the right way. Instead, the way to do it is this. If you need flooring, you go to a floor store. If you have an electrical or roof issue, guess who you call? Yelp, electrician. Oh, wow, there are 20 in the area. Hey, electrician, I've got a problem. I'm buying this house. It's a rental property, and I really want to make sure it's safe for a tenant. Can I hire you to fix the problems in my home inspection as cost effectively and safely as possible? And guess what they're going to say? Yeah, sure. Well, we'll come on over, And that way, when they say, this is an old electrical system, are you sure you don't want to replace all the wiring? I don't have the money to do that. Is there any way we can make the current electrical system safe because it's a rental? And 99% of the time they say, oh yeah, totally, no problem. It's a rental, no worries. We'll get this rental safe for you. Boom, that's how you save money. It's kind of like, should you replace the roof? Well, I don't know. Hey, roofer, if we spend $800 doing a tune-up on this roof, can you make this roof last another 4 years? If the answer is yes, do it. If the answer is no, well then you probably want to plan to budget for a new roof. You don't want to be a slumlord who doesn't do anything. That's the difference. A slumlord does nothing. A pro maximizes the value of their dollar, and a noob replaces everything and builds a new property. All right, just know that in the future, your goal is building wealth, not spending. Now, 2 big newbie mistakes that come up a lot. Don't go custom when you're upgrading. It's so common for people to go, well, I really want this midnight green countertop or this fancy Brazilian flooring or this crazy tile that's got all these designs and weirdness in it because it's cool to us. I like some of that stuff too. I like crazy and modern and custom. But if it's gonna be a rental property, why waste the money? It's just gonna end up being dated. You want stuff that appeals to 95% of people. And don't overspend. In the future, this is a rental. It's not your forever house. Build a forever house when you have a net worth exceeding $5 million. Until then, everything you do is rental grade. Step number 8, during escrow, which happens after you get your deal negotiated and after you do your inspections, during the escrow process, if you find repairs that need to be done that you did not expect, I highly encourage you ask the seller in a nice and reasonable way for a credit for repairs. So if you have your home inspection, I don't encourage you writing a letter to the seller going, hey, the carpet's nasty. I want $2,000 to replace the carpet. You kind of knew about that going into the deal, right? That's not gonna fly. Instead, if there's $3,000 worth of electrical expenses and some other stuff that you gotta do, maybe ask the seller for $5,000 and hope to negotiate down to $3,000. This will help you cover your closing costs. Closing costs are usually between 1 to 2% depending on the loan you get. If you take a lower interest rate, you'll generally pay more money in closing costs. If you take a higher interest rate, you tend to pay less money in closing costs. Sometimes it makes sense to take the higher interest rate if you know you're going to refinance in the next few years because you want to get rid of mortgage insurance or whatever. There are ways to get rid of mortgage insurance without refinancing as well. Talk to your lender about those. Step number 9. When doing the work on the property, follow a very simple order. A noob walks in and tears everything out instantly. Don't do that, big mistake. Don't remove the cabinets until you have a plan. Instead, come up with a plan and ask yourself, can I keep this? Can I keep the kitchen cabinets? Can I keep the vanities? Can I keep the bathroom tubs, the showers, and the tiling? Those are the big things. Go ahead and throw down new carpet, throw down some luxury vinyl plank, throw down some new paint, scrape the ceilings, and get the property cleaned up. The best order to do the work in, by the way, is number 1, plan. Number 2, do your minimal demo. Then have your plumbers and electrician prep valves and electrical, like adding ceiling fan brackets. Scrape your ceilings and redo the drywall as you need to. Properly paint the walls and the cabinets. Throw down countertops and flooring, then pop in light fixtures and plumbing fixtures and your appliances to finish it off with your toilets. Generally, you want to keep at least 1 toilet on the job site, by the way. Then, do your landscaping last, and don't overspend on landscaping. Mulch and rocks look great with a little bit of grass. You don't have to overspend. Now, usually you're going to live in the property for the first year, so you could do a lot of these repairs on nights and weekends. Heck, some people even seed their grass to save money. There are a lot of things that you can do. Step 10, when it comes to renting the property out, make sure whatever you do, you prioritize getting a high quality tenant over higher rent. See, I would much rather have a high quality tenant with job security, income security, and high credit, and all the other forms of tenant leverage that I could get than have a tenant that's just paying me $50 or $100 more, but is a risky tenant. Big mistake. Well, there you have it. Now what you want to do is repeat this process and you literally build yourself an empire. You build yourself a fortune by buying real estate and starting by living in your first property. When you move, you're on to number 2. Then rinse and repeat the process. Now, you don't always have to move either. You could start building wealth. You could use a cash out refinance and take money from your first property to help build your real estate portfolio without moving. You usually need 25% down to do that. That's why bank hacking is so desirable. Finally, if you want more information and more detail on any of these steps, I have an entire real estate investing course that's dedicated to teaching you how to value properties and ensure you're getting a good deal. I highly recommend you check that out. Use the coupon code in the description down below. Check out the other programs as well. And folks, you will not regret it. I can't wait to see you there, and we'll see you next time.